Good afternoon and welcome to another Crafternoon with the Lebanon Senior Center. Today we are going to be making a little photo holder out of a wooden block, some wire, and a bit of glue. We do have this craft currently available as a make and take, so you can stop by the Senior Center. I definitely encourage you to call ahead of time to let us know you're on the way. We only have a dozen of these make and take kits ready, but they do have the block and a piece of wire in them. You will need to supply your own glue, and that will get you started making one of these. And of course you can come back and watch this video when you have that kit or when you get your supplies gathered and to work on these. We thought this might be a fun, inexpensive Christmas project to do as a fun little gift for people, or just as a fun decoration around your house. So we did in our kits go ahead and pre-drill a hole. There's tiny little hole there. The size of your hole will depend on the size of your wire. We are using I believe it's a 16 gauge wire today, and I did purchase it in a couple of different colors. So we have the black, a copper, a gold, and a red that we purchased and have been cutting down to include in those kits. So you will have a chance to try it out in your kit. And so we use the gauge of the wire to decide the size of our hole. Obviously 16 gauge wire is rather small, so you need a really small hole drilled into roughly the center of your wood. You can be really exact and you know, draw your diagonal lines, and that'll give you your center, or you can just eyeball it a little bit. I won't lie, we eyeballed it. So we've got those pre-drilled for you, and I believe your blocks of wood are 1.5 by 1.5. So that's the basics. So block of wood and your wire to get you started. If you're wanting to do this to make several of them, you'll need several blocks of wood pre-drilled with that hole, some wire cutters for cutting your wire, as well as the glue we mentioned in your kit. Now glue can be a couple of different kinds of glue. I've got some crazy glue, some super glue, and you can also use a craft glue, whichever you prefer. I wouldn't recommend using the hot glue gun for this one, just because you're going to get all those little goobers around the hole and you want kind of a nice clean finish. Both of these glues dry clear and will kind of soak down into the wood and make it less visible. You only need a little bit of glue, so don't run out and buy a whole bunch or anything. You just need a dab that's going to go on the wire of your project. So I need to really quick here, because I already have some samples done, and of course it would really help me out to have a piece to show you. And I'm looking at the screen, and I thought I had a piece of black pre-cut, but now I'm thinking that might not be the best color to show up on camera. So I'm gonna quickly trim myself off a piece of red. And if you're curious how long a piece of wire, it's pretty much the length of my arm is what we were cutting. And just kind of a roughly piece that shape, which might seem really long. This might seem like a lot of wire to be using, but when you are doing these fun shapes, I have this, I'm gonna hold it up to my shirt, this copper shape that I changed into a kind of shape to a heart. You could do stars, you could do all kinds of things. Here's this little round circle pattern. This is the one I'm going to show you. Guess I should I'm going to put it on top of here. There you go. That's a light background. So just some round loops. That's what I'm going to show you, is just some circles. But again, you could be more creative. You could do flowers, you could do hearts, you could do stars, whatever kind of shapes you want to do. So for now, that block's going to come off to the side, and I'm going to first off, we're going to start bending our wire. I found this easiest to do by getting a round shape. Haha. Of course, I'm trying to decide. This one might be smaller than I want. I think I'm going to go with the neck of this bottle. Okay, and you are just going to, well, sometimes you have to sit on your tail there. All right, so start winding it around something round. That round shape, it could be a pill bottle, it could be kind of whatever object you have in your house. That's about the size you want to do. I would caution you, try not to overlap your circles, meaning just don't, you know, I find it helpful when I go to actually stick a photo in later if they aren't wound around each other. Alrighty, Roo. Nope. As I'm winding, you might notice that I'm kind of using my other finger to kind of hold the wire in place. Alright. And when we release in the wire, we'll find that you've got this coil. Looks kind of like a spring. Alright, so as it's coiled together, then you can kind of depress it together here. Just kind of using my finger to hold it in place. I'm going to kind of unbend this portion just a little bit. Alrighty, coiling it back down and then holding on to it with my fingers here. Haha! I have captured it. So I'm just holding on to it in my fingers. I have the coils wrapped around my fingers. And I've got it turned so there's the access point where I've got this free tail. Just this extra little bit of wire here that's, you know, poking off. You see them right here. So while I'm holding this side firmly, I'm going to take this little extra piece of tail and I am, let's see if I can get it up here. So I'm kind of capturing it right here. And I pulled it back a little bit, so I'm winding. And this wire is pretty thin, so you should be able to bend it with your fingers. So I just kind of looped it around. So we've got a big coil, and I came back to that initial piece, and I'm now just wrapping it around. I think I did about 2 or 3 times. I think it's about 3 times. Trying to catch it with the camera. I wish it liked me when I got closer so you could see what I was referencing there. So right here, I've coiled it. I captured and wound that loose end around our spring coil of wire to kind of hold this side together. And now that long tail that I hadn't quite finished with the loop, I'm going to hold the opposite end from the side we've already gathered, and I'm going to pull this long tail back to that side. So see, if I let go, ta-da, it's all kind of crazy. We'll deal with that in a minute. It can take a little effort to peel it back. But now I'm just going to take that short little tail and this long little tail, and I'm just winding them together. Might remind you of dealing with some twist ties on a bread sack. It's kind of what it reminds me of. And you're just going to wind it up. If you've got needle nose pliers or your wire trimmers, you can always snap off the end if it seems like you can't quite get it wound up to get rid of the pokey part. Sometimes I keep my fingers in there if I need to bend it, just so it counters the metal pretty well. Alright, and then for that spring side, so you're just going to squeeze them together. Metal is pretty pliable, so you can kind of bend your wires together. And they'll usually end up staying together, so you can get them so where they stay kind of tight together. So there we go. So we cut the wires this way to hold our bunch of coiled loops together, and we twisted the short end around those to capture them and left a little tail. Then we brought our long piece back around, uncoiled a little bit. This is our long piece that we didn't coil, and just twisted those two pieces of metal together. Kind of creates this little twisted, almost like an embellishment, but really it's just twisting that wire together to hide your pokey pieces, to hide the two ends together. So we have our loop, and we have a piece of metal here, the piece of wire that we didn't curl up, that is straight. Now you can trim this down. You can leave this as long as you want, because this is the end that's going to stick in the hole. Oh, there you go. So I'm feeling this one's a little bit tall, so I am going to cut just a couple of inches off here. Again, this is purely preference. Okay, and this is where sometimes you might decide, well, it kind of leans to one side a little bit, so you can come back and bend it and flex it. Find it's helpful to hold it on one side while you do that. There you go. Might kind of lean. There you go. Always see how, if you want to check your coils to see if they're going to be tight enough to hold a photo, you can test it out. Got a little drawing. There you go. It seems like it's going to hold that pretty well, so it would hold a photo. Or maybe not. So, haha. So to secure this so it's not twirling around, that's where this glue comes in handy. I'm going to go ahead and use some super glue, and I'm going to drop some right down into the hole. If you're using super glue, you got to move pretty fast. Of course, one of the things you can also do, if you've got this regular craft glue, you can just run the tip of your glue down in there. And I don't know if you saw that. I'm going to see if I can't move the camera around here. Oh, I wished you zoomed faster, little camera. But I just ran that whole end of the glue down into the cap, the hole of my glue bottle, and then just put it in the hole. There we go. And again, that'll secure pretty quickly. Craft glue will take a little bit longer. So sometimes you gotta let it sit there for a time, let it dry for a couple of hours. Really dry time depends on the type of glue that you are using. Once it's dry, then you can go ahead and bend that wire some more. Just add that final touches to make it look like it's straight. Actually not too bad right now. Pretty straight. Then after it's straight, you're all ready to use it as a recipe holder, a picture holder. You can do all kinds of things with it. So that, hello everybody. That is our project today for our first craft kit in October. This is our bent wire with a wood block photo holder. Again, it can hold a recipe card. It's trying to hypnotize you with my little radio I doodled. You can be a recipe card holder. It can be a photo holder. It can hold all kinds of small pieces of paper. And what's really fun is you can actually do some variations of this. So you can do multiple of these different heights in a wood block. You might even use a little bit slightly bigger piece of wood. And you could have a collection of photos of your grandchildren or of family members or friends all lined up. Could be fun to do with inspirational words that you've cut out, or holiday greetings. This could be even, we got the holidays coming up. You could do a couple of these or use a longer piece of wood, but do the same method with maybe some of your favorite holiday colored wire, because we've got red right here. You could get green, or you could do blue and silver, whatever your holiday color theme is. And you could use it as a Christmas card holder and display those Christmas cards on your dining room table or along the mantle. I'm just doing something different to display those holiday greetings. Let's see. So I think that's about it. Oh, I was going to tell you. So the block of wood, of course, you do have a plain block of wood in your kit, but this doesn't have to stay plain. We left it plain on purpose. You guys can paint it. You can do a fun little stamp if you are into paper crafting and you have a collection of beautiful stamps. You could use a dark color pigment to stamp an emblem on here, a series of letters. Again, if you're thinking of displaying holiday cards, you could do a holiday greeting on your wooden blocks, which could be kind of fun. You could do names. You could do all kinds of things with lettering that's really popular right now. You can also paint them fun motifs. You can decoupage them. You can do all kinds of decorating with your wooden base. So definitely feel free to not leave that plain and boring, but get out some paints or decorative items to decorate your block. If you do like the wood grain, I would encourage you to seal it up if it's going to be sitting around the house. If it's a rather small wooden block, so if it doesn't seem cost effective to go buy a can of polyurethane or spend that expense, go down to Dollar Tree or some inexpensive place where you can get some nail polish, and you can always just brush on a clear coat of nail polish. It will help protect the wood and make it easy to clean and dust and take care of and protect. All right, so there you go. I almost forgot to tell you about it's an option to decorate the wood. I'm sure you would have thought about it, but had to throw some ideas out there. All right, so that is the ending of our first Crafternoon for the month of October from the Lebanon Senior Center. We hope you found a little inspiration, and do remember, if you want one of these kits to give it a try for yourself, contact the Lebanon Senior Center and see if they've got a kit left. We have a dozen of them available. I know a couple have been spoken for, so give us a call, and maybe you can make an appointment to come down and pick one up. We hope you're doing well, and we hope that your fall is starting off to a lovely start. Definitely, we still have some beautiful weather, but I hear this weekend the rain is coming. So it's a good time to start finding a new indoor craft. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.